This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community today. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm that can put your business at the top of Google searches, build you an award-winning website, and engage your brand online. If you can benefit from any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details today. Joining us inside of the Pyramid Contractor Studio today is Bree Campbell with the Nebraska Interscholastic Cycling League. Thanks for being here.
You bet.
It's a mouthful, but it's
a mouthful.
It's for a great cause. You guys are doing a lot in the community. Can you kind of talk
Absolutely.
about what you guys are doing at NICL?
Yeah, so we're a youth development nonprofit organization. We are focused on helping kids just be better humans, and then we use the bike as a tool.
Sure.
And so we do lots of different things with our programs, but really our goal is just to get more kids on bikes, more kids outside, more kids included and active and engaged with a community or a team. And so we've been around since 2019. Our first season was 2020.
Okay.
So this is season.
It's a good time to be outside.
100%. Yep.
I think the league aspect of it is really interesting because there's always events, right? And it's a one-off. You can go to South Dakota and do the Red Rocks thing. Mm-hmm. You can go to Oklahoma and do the clay dirt bike ride, all of that. But this is something that you guys stretch out as a season. Right. Why was it important for you guys to do the league aspect of it as opposed to a one-off?
When we're talking youth development, really kids benefit the most, and we find the most success for our own kids and for our program is the team aspect. So getting kids to be part of a team, to have trained coaches that care, that are, trained in youth development, that's where we find the biggest success besides those one-off moments. Because a lot of times when you're talking about inviting kids or you're talking about getting kids to do something, we're more successful if there's the team community rather than just saying, hey, it's here, show up if you want to.
Show up on a bike and do it yourself.
Right. So it's that team aspect that really gets it.
How do teams form? Is it always from the outside coming in, they're already formed? Can an individual show up, join a team? How does that work?
A little bit of both. So we have really all that's needed to start a team is 2 coaches, because we always want 2 adults, and then 1 athlete. That's all you need to start a team. Some teams start just organically. So like last year we had our Sioux City team started, and we had a Bennington team start as well, and a couple others. And they just started from someone in the community who really wanted to make it happen, like really wanted to create something for kids. And then sometimes we have teams that expand. So they get so big, and then we ask them to expand a little bit into separate teams.
Is there a cap on an amount of cyclers on a team? Is there a minimum number of
minimum is 1.
Okay.
The cap, it depends. So like we have 2 different types of teams. We have school-based teams. When we have 5 high school athletes that go to 1 school, they will expand into their own separate scoring team.
Okay.
And then we also have composite teams, which are 6th grade through 12th grade. So it's a combination. And when they reach 12 kids, they don't have to be from the same high school. We ask them to expand as well. And so we do that to make sure that we don't have any super teams that are just going to be dominating the podiums.
What a concept. Yeah.
Right?
Take me back to 2019. What was the original thought process in starting the league, and why was it the right time to do it?
So the league started even before we became a NICL league, and I'll explain that in a second.
Sure.
But we had what's called NICS, which is the Nebraska Interscholastic Cycling Series, and it was just it was a grassroots sort of race series for high school students, and it really started with 2 brothers, Ryan Mosley and Nathan Mosley. They had like a sibling rivalry, and so they decided to start teams at their schools that they taught at.
Very cool.
Westside and Millard West, and then they raced against each other, and then it grew. Other teams started, like there was a Papillion team, and other schools grew. And then it turned into something pretty significant. And so that's when we put a bid in to become a NICL league, which is a national organization.
How does that help? Obviously, if you're doing it, all your events are here in Nebraska. You have Nebraska in the name. What is the benefit to the cyclist and the league to be able to be a nationally recognized league?
We get a lot of support in how we operate from the national organization. So like training me and developing me, in my role as director, but then also they manage the coach education piece. They manage coach development. We also, work with that locally, but they offer a lot of supports in everything from running a league to fundraising to like having practices, like how to hold practices.
So,
like that.
I guess you kind of already answered this next question, but I want to ask it anyway, just in case I'm missing something. So I was going to ask why high school students, but obviously in the infancy of the league, you have teachers that are running their teams, etc. Why was it the right thing to stick with that age group and kind of build this high school age cycling league without, I guess, sanctioning from the NSAA or worrying about state championships or your traditional building on athletics that are already established in the state?
So we actually do have, we're not just high school anymore. So when we became a NICL league, we actually included sixth.
Oh, very cool.
So we're sixth grade through 12th grade now. And so we have the middle school aspect as well. Now I'm trying to remember the question.
Why the youth aspect of it versus, because you have adult cycling leagues, you have, the Tour de France, which is not even remotely close to the same thing,
right?
But obviously that scales to some degree. Why youth? Why is youth a thought around this league?
Because I think people from my generation, they have that experience of, and not every kid, but of learning how to ride a bike and the freedom of the bike.
Sure.
And so we want to make sure that that's still like a focus, is that kids have that experience to the freedom of the bike, but then also it just gets kids outdoors, and it creates lifelong cyclists. That's our goal, is not just to develop kids and host races and teach them how to race.
Because it's great exercise too, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's something that they can do forever until they can't anymore.
This thing has kind of exploded since 2019, and it's really growing. You guys have a ton of great sponsors. You guys are growing from a participation standpoint as well. What has the response been from kids in their first year? Why do they keep coming back, in your opinion?
Because we do it differently than
I agree, by the way.
We do it differently than traditional sports in that we don't have tryouts and we don't have a bench. And so I think it's a place where kids can come and feel like they can be themselves. They can be challenged. They can fail, but still have the support.
Sure.
And I think that's why they come back, is because one of our core values is fun. And we try to infuse that in everything we do, because if kids aren't having fun.
And I want to reiterate that when you go to write your $10,000 check for AAU basketball this summer, remind your kids it's supposed to be fun. Just a little PSA.
And that's that's research tells us one of the top reasons why kids quit sports, especially in the middle school and early high school age, is it's no longer fun.
Yeah, you've got kids that are going to play over 140 different basketball games in 2 months this summer,
right?
And travel all over the country, and that portion of it's cool. But there's so much of a focus right now on got to get to college, got to get NIL money, got to get to the pros. Right. You've got to be the best. Is that kind of what you guys are trying to avoid?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So we do have athletes that will be racing in, the U.S. Cup, Mountain Bike Cup down in, Fayetteville next week. So we have kids that have aspirations to be that competitive, to be on the worldwide scale. We have former NICA athletes out of other leagues that are pro mountain bikers, and that make the Olympics and things like that. But our main goal is just to create a space for kids to belong. And so when our purpose is higher than just the competition, than just getting the scholarships and just getting recognized, nationally, it's magic happens. I don't know.
That's awesome. We're catching up with Bree Campbell of the Nebraska Interscholastic. I'll get it right the first time one times. Cycling League here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. I want to talk about the coach portion of it.
Yeah.
Because not only do you guys have teams, you guys have assigned coaches for these teams. First question, how can somebody become a coach?
They just need to, if they want to join an existing team, we've got, the contact information on our website. They just reach out to the contact person, and that coach will.
Do you need to be affiliated with a high school or
No.
junior high? No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Very cool.
Nope. You just need to be a community member that can ride a bike without training wheels.
Yeah.
Can pass a background check.
That's important.
And then care about helping kids. And that's really the only 3 things you need. We have a really strong coach education program that and we have these amazing coach supporters who teach our coaches how to coach mountain biking. So we've got everything else covered. We just need the bodies. The people.
And maybe this is a little bit of being uneducated. I obviously was doing some research to do this podcast. It blew me away with the infrastructure that you guys have from NICL, from having as many coaches as you do, to the coaching education portion of everything. Is it surprising to you with how structured this thing has become in just 5.5 years? Because there's a lot of backbone behind what you guys are doing.
Right. I'm not surprised. I'm always excited to see everything come together because I know the work and the hours and the passion that it takes for every aspect of this league to operate. And so I'm just every time we have a race or an event, or even practices, I'm just really proud of everything and everyone that it took to make that happen. So it's definitely a lot of work and a lot of people to make it happen, but when it comes together, it's magic.
You guys are in your off season right now. How many teams are you expecting to have this year, and do you guys need coaches currently?
Yeah. So last year we had 22 teams, so we'll have those 22 teams returning, and I think we usually have between 2 and 5 new teams every year, so I'm kind of anticipating at least 2 new teams.
Okay.
And we are always looking for coaches. Last year we had 115 coaches total, and we had 243 athletes. So if you're thinking ratios, that's a pretty good ratio of.
It's a lot of individual time,
right?
For sure.
And so, but I mean, some of our coaches, they can commit once a week, or so the coaches have varying commitment levels, which is why we always want to recruit as many coaches as possible to support our teams.
You guys, we mentioned this is a league. It's not just a show up and do it one time thing.
Right.
So there's a lot of events. Where are some of the places you guys do the events at, and what are your favorites of the year?
So we, let's see, one of the bigger things that we do is race production. So we put on 5 mountain bike races, and that's, we're kind of in the outskirts of the Omaha metro area. We're like wherever we fit.
Sure.
We need lots of parking, and so sometimes that's not available for us. But we've this year we're going to race at Walnut Creek out in Papillion.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be in Blair, Nebraska, Sioux City, Iowa, actually.
Okay.
And outside Raymond, Nebraska, which is near Lincoln, and then outside Stanton, Nebraska, near Norfolk, we're going to be racing as well.
What has the response from the Omaha community been like? It's not like you guys do a ton of advertising, and it's not televised or on the radio or anything, but it's still an athletic event that involves high school age kids. And this city, more than just about anywhere in the world, backs high school athletes. What has the response from the community been like?
A lot of people will. I hear this all the time. Is that why didn't we have this when I was a kid?
Sure.
So it's new. It's newer.
Honestly, my first thought, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I wish I would have had this organization when I was a kid. I was a kid who was not coordinated.
I rode my bike everywhere. So,
yeah. My mom didn't know where I was half the time.
Right,
I was
team.
like 5 miles away going through a drive-through eating fries and stuff. So
Sure.
But that's the one thing, is that we're just trying to create something that we didn't have when we were kids. If I had to try out for any of the sports I did in high school, I would not have made it.
It's a nonprofit, but you guys are continuously growing. What's the, I don't want to say end goal because it's a league, so it's going to be back every single year, but what's the long-term goal? Where would you like to see this grow to?
We just want to see, gosh, my dream would be having like at least 1,000 athletes in our league, just kids on bikes. And the great thing about what we do and when we do it is that kids can participate in other sports. So it's really important for us.
It's great conditioning for other sports too.
Exactly. And it's good for the knees.
Yeah.
And it's good like recovery for cross country and swimming and
basketball. Just got over.
Right. So but so we have a specific training season, and so our official season, like where normal practices starts July 1st. And our racing season ends at the middle of October. But it's important to us that our athletes have the opportunity to participate in other activities.
Is that also a weather thing? Because you got to do this.
It is a weather thing too. But
talking to Jay Morales that does the 50-mile march, they do it in August, and I'm like, brother, I love you, but it's 100 degrees outside.
It's rough. Yep. And you never know in Nebraska, though. I mean, it could be snowing in August.
Yeah,
Who
sure.
knows?
Yeah, we'll see on Wednesday.
But it's important for us that kids have that well-rounded experience. They have the opportunity to try different things because they're still figuring out themselves.
Great point.
So.
For a lack of better term, what's the Super Bowl? What's the championship? Let me rephrase this. Can you walk us through how the season works and how does that lead to ultimately whatever the championship is?
So we have a time trial that is in August, and that is not necessarily a race. It's just we start each kid at 30-second intervals on the same course. They do one lap, and it's just to get a baseline. It's just a really soft opening for our athletes, especially our newer ones who are not used to the race production part. We put on a really good show, but it can be intimidating for brand new riders. They're, they've got 400 people there, and and they've got a train horn that's going to tell them when to, start racing. And so that's how we start our season. And then we have 4 races, in the different locations I talked about. And then this year is the first year that we are participating in the Central Regionals, which is a regional race with 11 total leagues.
Okay.
And we're going to be down in Fayetteville in November. So that's our season ender this year is Central Regionals with 10 other leagues.
What does Central Regionals lead to? What are they qualifiers for?
It's not a qualifying. It used to be they did it. NICL National did this in Maryland the last couple of years, and it was a qualifier, but we've changed it so that we can just have as many athletes register who can make it.
Sure.
So I think the venue can hold up to 1,200, and
wow.
So, I mean, we could have 1,200 high schoolers because our regionals is for high schoolers only.
I think when people think of coaches, they think of Tom Osborne or Nick Saban, somebody that's on the sideline, right? Mm-hmm. How do coaches play a role on race day itself for these kids?
They are the ones making sure that the athletes get into the start chute in the right order, making sure that they have all their equipment. So they've some of our riders are going to be out there for upwards to 80 minutes, some of our high school varsity riders. So making sure they've got water, making sure, if
might be a big deal in July.
Yeah. And so making sure they have nutrition. So sometimes they'll have snacks and things like that to eat to fuel their ride because, you can burn through that pretty quickly. And then they are on the course. They are on the course, in the trees, cheering them on, helping them out. A lot of our teams have walkies. So if a kid has a flat tire, they'll walkie because sometimes we have kids
chain breaks.
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah, sure.
So and so they
so the coach is kind of like the pit crew almost, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we have coaches in our feed zone, which is the pit crew area.
Obviously, we mentioned it's a nonprofit. You guys have some great sponsors that help you along the way. We were talking about Chesterman Coca-Cola before the official soft drink of After Hours on 1620 The Zone. Free plug there. If somebody is listening to this and they're going, "Oh, this is great," and it's clear what you guys are doing is fantastic. How can they become a sponsor of the league?
They can reach out directly to me. We are always looking for sponsors. We try to keep the cost at a minimum to our families. When you're talking sports, youth sports, it's
expensive.
Right. It can be really expensive. And bikes aren't cheap either. And so, and we know that, and we want to make sure that we lower those barriers, any barrier that we can possibly lower. And so sponsorships help us pay for our loaner bike fleet. So we have 31 bikes in our loaner fleet that we loan out to kids for free for the season.
Awesome.
And they are pretty decent quality bikes from local bike shops. And so we're replenishing those this year. And then we also offer a scholarship to any kid that's experiencing financial need and any coach.
A scholarship to the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we will scholarship the fee to participate. And so we have never...
Do you feel comfortable sharing what that fee is?
Yeah, so the fee this year, the early bird registration is $330 for the whole season.
So relatively cheap, yeah.
Yeah, so when you're talking youth sports, it's relatively inexpensive. And then, so we'll...
That's 8 weeks of your kid having something to do for $300. That's very, very affordable.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, so that's what sponsorships help us is... and feed our volunteers.
Oh, okay.
And help offset some of the travel expenses.
I have a lead for you after this when we're done. Remind me of that.
Awesome.
I'm thinking about food and stuff like that.
So,
when we talk about the growth, we talked about where we'd like to see it get to, and it is junior high to high school. Would you like to see the NSAA or the city of Omaha kind of champion this thing, put it up on a pedestal a little bit? Like, is that the type of growth you guys would like to see? Are you fine being where you are?
I think we're fine being where we are in terms of like how we're operating. Obviously, we want more people to know about who we are, what we do, and why. Because I mean, we think our mission's pretty rad, and it is.
Agreed. Yeah.
And we're really successful at our youth development. But as far as like, because we're connected to a national organization, like being a part of a local, like NSAA, it comes with its own
parameters.
Right.
Sure.
And so that's why we're kind of just happy being where we are.
And it's in the summer too, so
we are in the summer.
Part of it's while school's not in session.
And we're not necessarily attached to schools either.
Yeah,
so.
sure. And we're catching up with Bree Campbell of the Nebraska Interscholastic Cycling League. I finally got it. Here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. Do you guys have, like we mentioned, into the off season right now? We don't start till July, but practices are about to pick up. Do you guys have certain goals heading into year 6 that you guys would like to achieve this year?
Yeah. So as far as like athlete registration, we had 243 athletes, and we would feel really.
When does registration close?
The day before the last race.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so you can even register in season.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So we have our registration opens April 1st. And then our teams can do like preseason events like fun rides and clinics and things like that.
Yeah.
And then July 1st is when their official practice season starts. And so you can register at any point in the season to participate. And so we usually have, once school starts, we will have an influx of riders that register because they're learning about it through their friends,
people being around more.
Right.
Have you guys like reached out to certain schools that maybe haven't participated yet and seen if there'd be interest? Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Yeah,
okay. I got some athletic directors' numbers if you need them too.
I've been meeting with a couple of them, but I could always use more contacts.
Great. And I have all of them, so if you need anybody's, let me know. Obviously, we talked about the racers, and they're the priority. We talked about the sponsorship. Obviously, they're probably second fiddle behind the actual events. What are the things that you guys are prioritizing right now that you'd like to have done before the start of the season?
That's a good question. We are focused right now on planning our coach retreat. So when we talk about coach education, every year we put on a 2-day event that is designed to continue to develop our coaches. And so we get them together for a couple days, and the sessions that we create are based on feedback from our coaches, like especially our returning coaches who are like, I need more development. I need more, more training on this particular topic versus this. And so that's what we're really working on, is not only recruiting coaches, but then also planning for that 2-day event.
Well, one of my favorite things to ask about in this room is horror stories, because anybody that started a business or a league knows that there's some things that you learn along the way. What's some stuff that you guys learned maybe in the first couple of years that you've either fixed or altered to kind of better the league heading into year 6?
I'm trying to think now. Don't put stuff away wet.
Good
when
call.
It rains,
Good
we need to, if we put it away in our trailer, then we have to take it out immediately and let it all dry. And we're talking like
rust is a thing.
20 tent, 20 pop-up tents, and we have feather flags galore and all of that stuff. Because otherwise your trailer is going to smell really bad.
What is something that you guys are super proud of that's going to happen this year?
We, let's see, so much, but we're really excited for the development of and hopefully getting some more teams in the North Omaha area. Yeah. So Adams Park is going to be, there's going to be a grand opening for the mountain bike trails and the mixed use trails at Adams Park.
Is that over in Ponca Hills, right?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. Where's that? I'm not sure where the park is.
Oh gosh, it's on John Creighton Boulevard.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so it's already an existing park. They just are
adding the trails.
Working with Thor, which is a trail advocacy organization, and they have built some single track, some like dirt trails, and so that's going to come online in June. And so we're really excited about our kids in North Omaha having more access to trails close to home.
Very cool.
Because when you're talking about access, like when you're talking about mountain biking, it's not just the bike and the coach. You have to get there, and you have to have the bike rack to get there, the car, So like, so having.
I'm so sorry. 302 episodes. That's his first sneeze. I'm so sorry.
So having access to a trail close to your home is huge, and so.
I have another league for you too. Have you worked with the folks down at Abide at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I've met them.
Yeah. I'll get you in touch with
We're
Josh.
excited to link with them for the opening.
They're great. When we talk about what defines success for this league in 2020? Like, how can you hang your hat up at the end of October and say, well, we achieved what we were looking for? What does that look like?
If we can get, I think what success looks like for us, if kids at the end of whatever event that they are in, whether it's, a race event or practice or one of our other program events, if they just say that was awesome and I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Like that's the end goal for us. The success is, that's what
we've covered a lot. Mm-hmm. Is there anything about NICL that we haven't mentioned that people should know about?
Let's see. I don't think so.
If somebody's looking to become a cyclist, how can they register?
They can get in touch with me. We have a couple different pages on our website. Like if you want to get your student athlete involved, there's a page for that.
Can you give the website real fast?
Yeah, it's Nebraska MTB.org.
Oh, what's the MTB stand for?
Mountain bike.
Oh, duh. So. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And same thing for coaches. They could do that there.
Yep, there's information on there and who to contact, and I'm on Facebook too.
Yeah, so. We will tag her in this, and we'll also tag.
So you can reach out to me here too.
Tag the league as well. Well, I really appreciate you doing this. I know we kind of had a couple of reschedules and been trying to figure this out for a while. So I'm glad you were able to come in and do it. That's Bree Campbell with the Nebraska Interscholastic Cycling League. Check out the website. Register today if you have a student athlete in your life that's looking to do something during the summer. You don't want to have them out on the basketball court, or maybe don't want to do travel baseball this year. Get a bike and have some fun, and get out and see the trails. We have a guest lined up for tomorrow. We're going to play it by ear, see how the snowstorm goes. We may not be back at 11, but we're going to try to tomorrow. We appreciate everybody that joined us today. Follow us on all of our socials. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors.